Kian worked quietly in the engineering bay of the Starwind station. The station floated between two galaxies, a place where many different species met for trade and peace talks. Kian was not a soldier or a diplomat. He was a simple engineer, good with machines, calm in difficult moments, and careful with details. He liked his quiet life, fixing small problems and watching the stars. That day started like any other. Kian was checking a power circuit when the station's communication system buzzed urgently. The screen flickered and showed a strange figure. The figure was tall and graceful, with shining blue skin and eyes like bright emeralds. This was Vespran, one of the oldest alien species known in this part of space. The figure spoke in a calm voice, "Kian, we have a request for you. It is very important for the peace between our worlds." Kian blinked. "Peace? How can I help? I am only an engineer." The figure's eyes were serious. "Our youngest princess, Nira, needs a partner from your species. This marriage will seal an alliance that has been in danger. It is a tradition, and it must happen soon." Kian was confused. "Me? Why me? I don't understand." "The council has chosen you," the figure said. "Please come to Vespra and meet the princess. Your cooperation will be remembered by your people." Before Kian could ask more questions, the screen went dark. He stared at the empty screen, heart beating fast. He was a simple man, not a hero or a prince. How could he be chosen for something so important? Kian left his work and walked to the station's observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before him, quiet and cold. He thought of his small home on Earth and the simple life he wanted to return to. But now, his life was changing in a way he never imagined. Minutes later, a soft voice came from behind him. It was Mara, his close friend and fellow engineer. "Kian, what happened? You look worried." He told her everything. Mara listened carefully, her eyes wide. "This is serious. But maybe this is your chance to do something great." Kian shook his head. "I don't want to leave my work, my friends. I'm not ready." Mara smiled gently. "Sometimes life chooses us. You might find more strength than you know." That night, Kian couldn't sleep. He thought about the princess and the alien planet. He wondered what kind of person Nero was and how different their worlds might be. The idea of marriage felt strange and scary. But deep inside, a small part of him was curious. Could this strange adventure change his life for the better? The next morning, Kian packed a small bag. The station's commander gave him a formal message and a small ship to travel to Vespra. The journey was long, passing through sparkling starfields and silent moons. When Kian's ship landed on Vespra, he felt a sudden rush of wonder. The planet was full of life, tall trees with glowing leaves, soft rivers that shined like silver, and buildings made of smooth crystals. The air smelled fresh and new. A group of Vespran guides welcomed him. They moved gracefully and spoke with quiet respect. Soon, Kian was brought to the royal palace, a beautiful structure carved into a mountain, shining with lights that changed colors. Inside the palace, Kian waited nervously in a large room filled with soft music and warm light. Moments later, the door opened. In walked Princess Nira. She was young, with eyes full of kindness and a smile that reached her cheeks. Her blue skin glowed softly, and her hair moved gently like water. She looked curious, not cold or distant. "Hello, Kian," she said softly. "I have heard much about you." Kian bowed politely. "Princess Nira, it is an honor to meet you. I did not expect to come here like this." Nira smiled. "Neither did I. But perhaps this meeting will change both our lives." They talked for a while, learning about each other's worlds. Nira told stories of Vesper's beauty and its struggles to stay peaceful. Kian shared simple tales of Earth, its oceans, forests, and cities full of people trying to live well together. Though their worlds were different, Kian noticed something familiar in Nira's eyes, a hope for friendship and a better future. After their talk, the council entered the room. They spoke of the importance of the marriage and the future it promised. Kian felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him, but he also felt a strange calm. The princess reached out her hand and said, "I know this is sudden and hard. But together, we can build a new path." Kian took her hand gently. At that moment, he understood this was more than a duty. It was a chance for hope. As the sun set behind the crystal mountains, Kian looked out the window and saw stars shining brighter than ever before. His adventure had just begun. Kian woke up to the soft glow of Vesper's twin suns shining through the tall windows of the palace. Outside, the world was alive with colors he had never seen before: trees with leaves that shimmered like glass, flowers that glowed softly in the morning light, and gentle streams that sang as they moved over smooth stones. He sat up, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Yesterday's meeting with Princess Nira had left a strange feeling in his chest, a mix of hope, worry, and curiosity. He had never imagined leaving Earth, and now he was here, on an alien planet with a future that felt both bright and uncertain. A soft knock came at the door. A young Vespran woman with pale blue skin and bright green eyes entered. "Good morning, Kian," she said kindly. "I am Lyra, your guide while you stay here. The princess asked me to help you learn about our world." Kian smiled. "Thank you, Lyra. I would like to see everything: the technology, the culture, the nature. I want to understand Vesper better." Lyra nodded. "That is a good start. Come, I will show you." Outside the palace, the air was fresh and clean, filled with the scent of blooming flowers and soft breezes. Kian noticed how the buildings were different from anything on Earth, made of clear crystals that changed colors when the sunlight touched them. They were beautiful and seemed alive. Lyra led him to the center of the city, where a large plaza buzzed with life. Vesperans of all ages moved gracefully, their blue skin shining under the sunlight. Some worked with machines that floated in the air, others talked quietly in groups. Children laughed and played near glowing fountains. Kian felt a little out of place but also fascinated. He saw how peaceful and calm the people were. There was no hurry, no loud noise, only a gentle harmony that made him feel relaxed. Lyra explained, "Vesper has grown around respect for nature and technology. We believe that both must live together, not fight. Our machines use energy from the stars, and we protect our forests and rivers." Kian thought of Earth's crowded cities and noisy machines. "That sounds wonderful. I hope I can learn how to help your people." They walked to a tall tower filled with screens and buttons. Lyra showed him the control room where the city's power came from. "This is the core," she said. "It holds the energy that keeps Vesper alive." Kian studied the panels. "It looks complicated, but stable." Lyra's smile faded a little. "It has been stable for many years, but recently, there are signs it may weaken. The council is worried." Kian's heart beat faster. This was the first problem he had seen on Vespera. "Is there anything I can do?" "Maybe," Lyra said quietly. "The princess trusts you. She believes your knowledge might help." Just then, a voice called from behind them. It was Nira, the princess. She walked with grace, her eyes shining with hope. "Kian, I am glad you are exploring our world. Would you like to join me on a walk in the gardens?" Kian nodded, following her to a nearby garden filled with strange plants and soft, glowing flowers. The air was warm and smelled sweet. Nira spoke softly, "I want you to see the heart of Vesper, the balance we protect. But I must admit, I am worried about the future." Kian looked at her, surprised by her honesty. "What troubles you, princess?" She sighed. "The energy core is old, and our scientists do not know how long it will last. Without it, our world could lose its light and life." Kian thought about his work fixing machines back on Earth. Maybe I can help examine the core. I have experience with energy systems. Nira's face brightened. That would mean so much to us. You bring hope, Kian. As they walked, Kian felt a growing connection with Nira. She was not just a royal figure, she was a person who cared deeply for her people and her planet. The day passed quickly with new sights and new stories. Kian learned about Vespran art, music, and their ways of learning. The people here valued kindness, patience, and understanding. These were values Kian respected, and he felt he was beginning to understand why the council chose him. That evening, back in the palace, Kian stood by the window watching the sunset. The sky turned pink and gold, and the twin suns slowly dipped behind the hills. He thought about the day, the beauty, the worries, and the chance to make a difference. A soft knock on the door brought him back. Nira entered with a warm smile. "Thank you for spending the day with me, Kian." He smiled back. "Thank you for showing me your world. I feel lucky to be here." Nira looked thoughtful. "This marriage is not just a tradition. It is a promise. Together, we must find a way to keep Vesper safe and build peace between our peoples." Kian nodded. "I want to help. I don't know everything yet, but I will do my best." Nira's eyes sparkled. "That is all we can ask." As the night grew darker, Kian realized his journey had only just begun. Vesper was beautiful but fragile, and the future depended on more than just tradition. It depended on courage, trust, and the willingness to change. With that thought, Kian felt ready to face whatever came next, because sometimes, the greatest adventures started with a simple step into the unknown. The morning light on Vesper was soft and warm as Kian made his way to the palace's science wing. The building was full of strange devices and glowing screens, humming quietly with energy. Lyra met him at the entrance with a friendly smile. "The princess asked me to show you where the scientists work," she said. "They have important information about the energy core. You will want to see it." Kian nodded. Inside the lab, rows of machines measured energy flows, monitored planet conditions, and tracked data from deep underground. Scientists moved carefully, adjusting instruments and discussing their findings in quiet voices. One scientist, a tall Vespran named Torin, stepped forward. "Welcome, Kian. We have been waiting for someone with your knowledge. The core is our planet's life source, but it is weakening." Kian watched the hologram floating above the table. It showed a bright, pulsing orb deep beneath the surface, surrounded by layers of rock and crystal. "The core provides energy to everything: our cities, forests, and the very air we breathe," Torin explained. "But its power is fading faster than we expected." "How fast?" Kian asked. Torin sighed. "If we do not find a way to restore it, parts of the planet could lose energy within a few cycles years by your time." Kian frowned. "Is there a way to fix it? Can you replace parts or add energy?" The scientist shook his head. "The core is a natural source, very old and complex. We cannot build or replace it like a machine. We can only try to slow the loss." Kian looked at the data again. "Maybe the problem is not just inside the core. Maybe something is blocking the flow of energy, or the systems around it need repair." Torin's eyes lit up. "That is a good thought. The tunnels around the core are deep and dangerous, but they might hold answers." Nira entered the room quietly, her face serious but hopeful. "Kian, I know this is a heavy burden. But I believe your ideas can help." Kian nodded. "I want to do what I can. Will you take me to see the core's tunnels?" The princess smiled. "Yes. But you must be careful. The tunnels are ancient and not all are safe." That afternoon, Kian and Nira, guided by Torin and Lyra, prepared for the journey underground. They wore light suits that protected them and carried small tools and devices to measure energy. The entrance to the tunnels was hidden beneath a forest of glowing trees. As they stepped inside, the air grew cooler, and the soft hum of energy filled the space. The walls sparkled with crystals, casting gentle light on the group. Kian felt a thrill of excitement and worry. This was unlike anything he had seen before. As they moved deeper, the tunnel narrowed and the light dimmed. Kian used a small scanner to check the energy flow. The readings flickered and dropped suddenly near a blocked passage. "Something is here," Kian said. "Maybe debris or damage is stopping the energy." Torin tried to clear the blockage but found it was heavier and older than expected. "This will take time to move," he said. While they worked, Nira spoke softly to Kian. "I have always worried about what is hidden beneath our beautiful world. This place shows another side, one of danger and mystery." Kian nodded. "Every world has its secrets. But together, we can find a way to protect Vespra." After several hours, they cleared a path to a large chamber filled with shimmering crystals. The core's energy pulsed faintly here, weaker than expected. Kian examined the crystals carefully. "These are important for holding the energy," he said. "If they are damaged or blocked, the core's power could fade." Lyra showed Kian some devices used to repair the crystals. "Our scientists try, but we need new ideas." Kian thought of Earth's technology and his own experience. "If I can bring some tools from the station and work with your scientists, maybe we can help." Nira smiled with relief. "You bring hope, Kian. Hope that our world can survive and grow." As they returned to the surface, Kian felt a new sense of purpose. This was more than a duty forced by others, it was a chance to truly make a difference. That evening, Kian and Nira stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. The twin suns had set, and the lights of Vespra sparkled like stars below. Nira looked at Kian with quiet strength. "Thank you for believing in us." Kian smiled. "Thank you for trusting me. I will do my best." He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but with the princess by his side, he felt ready to face the challenges. Secrets beneath the surface could be dangerous, but they also held the keys to a brighter future. And Kian was determined to find those keys. The next morning, the palace was alive with quiet activity. Kian arrived early at the science wing, feeling a mixture of determination and excitement. After yesterday's visit to the core tunnels, he knew that his work here would be challenging but also important. Lyra greeted him with a warm smile. "Good morning, Kian. The scientists are ready to meet you. They want to learn about your ideas." Kian nodded and followed her to a large meeting room filled with Vespran scientists and engineers. Torin stood at the center, greeting Kian with respect. "We've studied the core and the crystals," Torin began. "But we lack the tools and techniques to repair them fully. Your experience with machines might help us." Kian looked around the room. "Thank you for trusting me. On Earth, we use special devices to analyze and repair energy systems. Some of these could work here." He pulled out a small device from his bag, a compact energy scanner he had designed himself. "This can detect weak points and blockages. I want to use it to map the entire core system." The scientists watched with interest as Kian demonstrated the scanner. It glowed softly and sent out waves that painted a detailed hologram of the energy flows. Torin nodded approvingly. "This will help us understand where repairs are needed most." Kian smiled. "Good. I also want to work with your team on repairing the crystals. We can combine your knowledge of the crystals' properties with technology to strengthen them." Nira entered quietly and joined the group. "I am glad to see you working together. This partnership between our worlds is what we need." Kian felt encouraged by her words. "Together, we can solve this." For the next several days, Kian and the Vespran scientists worked side by side. Kian learned about the crystals' unique properties and the energy that flowed through them. In turn, he shared his knowledge of tools and repair methods from Earth. They developed new devices that could carefully clean and strengthen the crystals without damaging them. Kian modified his scanner to send gentle pulses that encouraged energy flow instead of blocking it. The collaboration brought hope to the palace. Scientists smiled more often, and the usual tension around the core's problem seemed to ease. One afternoon, Nira invited Kian to a quiet garden within the palace grounds. Flowers of many colors and shapes bloomed under soft lights, and the air was filled with a sweet, calming scent. "I wanted to thank you," Nira said softly. "Your presence has brought new energy to Vesper, not just to the core, but to all of us." Kian looked at her and smiled. "I feel the same way. I was nervous when I first arrived, but now I feel like I belong here." Nira's eyes brightened. "It is more than belonging. It is partnership. Your knowledge and our culture together can make something stronger." They sat in the garden, talking about their hopes for the future. Nira spoke of her dreams to bring peace and prosperity to Vesper and its neighbors. Kian shared his desire to build bridges between humans and aliens. Their friendship grew deeper, built on trust and respect. They knew the road ahead would be long, but they were no longer alone. Meanwhile, the repairs to the core continued. Kian and the team traveled often to the tunnels beneath the planet, using new devices to clean and strengthen the crystals. They discovered that some crystals needed to be carefully replaced with artificial ones designed by the scientists. Kian marveled at how the Vesperans respected their world. They worked carefully and patiently, never rushing or forcing change. Their calmness taught him new ways to solve problems. One evening, as they returned from a long day underground, Torin spoke to Kian with a hopeful smile. "The energy readings have improved. The core is stronger than before." Kian felt a wave of relief. "This is good news. We still have work to do, but we are moving in the right direction." Nira joined them and placed a hand on Kian's shoulder. "We are grateful for your help. You have given us hope." Kian looked at the glowing city of Vespra around them. The soft lights reflected in his eyes. "We are stronger together." That night, Kian stood on the palace balcony, looking up at the stars. His thoughts traveled back to Earth, to the people he loved, and to the new life he was building here. He realized that this unexpected marriage had become much more than a duty. It was a new beginning, a chance to grow, learn, and build something beautiful between two worlds. And Kian was ready to face whatever challenges came next, knowing that with friendship and partnership, anything was possible. The days passed quickly on Vespra, and Kian's work with the scientists and engineers grew more important. The energy core was healing slowly, and the team's hope was growing with each successful repair. But with progress came new challenges. One morning, as Kian prepared to join the team in the tunnels again, a message arrived from the council. It was a formal request for a meeting with Kian and Princess Nira. The council wanted to discuss the progress and future plans. Kian felt a little nervous but also ready. He met Nira in the palace hall, where the council waited. The room was filled with wise leaders from Vesper's various regions, their faces serious but respectful. The council leader, Elder Morin, spoke first. "Kian, your efforts have helped bring hope to our people. But we must face difficult questions. The core is healing, yet some regions of Vesper show signs of energy loss." He paused and looked directly at Kian. "We need to prepare for the possibility that the core may not fully recover. What plans do you suggest for such a future?" Kian took a deep breath. "I believe we must continue repairs, but also find new sources of energy. We cannot rely on one source alone. We should explore alternative methods, combining technology and nature." Nira added, "We must protect our culture and environment while preparing for changes." The council nodded thoughtfully. "Your words show wisdom. We will support your work, but the responsibility is great." After the meeting, Kian and Nira walked through the palace gardens. The weight of the council's words was heavy. "We must be ready for anything," Nira said softly. "But I trust in your ideas and in us." Kian smiled gently. Trust is the strongest energy of all. The next days brought new tasks. Kian worked closely with scientists to design devices that could gather energy from the sun and the winds. They built small, efficient machines that could be placed across Vesper's forests and mountains. One afternoon, while testing a solar collector near the glowing trees, Kian noticed something unusual. The trees' leaves were losing their light, and the energy readings nearby were weak. He called Lyra and Torin to investigate. "This is troubling," Torin said. "The energy loss is spreading." Kian examined the area carefully. The core repairs help the cities, but the forests depend on energy from underground. If that fails, the whole ecosystem suffers. Lyra nodded. "We must act quickly." Together, they planned to send a team deeper into the tunnels to find and fix hidden blockages or damage that might be cutting off energy to the forests. The journey was long and difficult. The tunnels were narrow and dark, and the air grew colder as they went deeper. Kian felt the pressure but stayed calm. He reminded himself of the trust the people had placed in him. Suddenly, the group reached a wide cavern where the energy pulsed faintly. But the walls showed cracks, and some crystals were shattered. "This is worse than we thought," Torin said, carefully examining the damage. Kian studied the crystals. "We need to replace these and strengthen the walls." The repair took time. The team worked patiently, using special tools and new crystals created by the scientists. Kian helped guide the process, sharing his knowledge of machines and energy. After hours of work, the energy began to flow stronger. The readings showed improvement, and the team smiled quietly in relief. Back at the surface, Nira awaited their return. When Kian and the team emerged, she greeted them warmly. "You have done well," she said. "Your courage and skill save more than just energy, you save hope." Kian felt a deep warmth in his heart. "We save it together." Days later, Kian and Nira sat in the palace, discussing their future. "Our worlds are different, but our goals are the same," Nira said. "Peace, life, and trust." Kian nodded. "And sometimes, challenges make those things stronger." Nira smiled. "I'm glad you are here with me." Kian smiled back. "I'm glad too." As Vesper's twin sun set behind the mountains, Kian felt a quiet confidence. The future was uncertain, but with trust and hard work, it was full of possibility. For several weeks, Vesper seemed to breathe easier. The energy core was growing stronger, and the small machines spread across the planet's surface brought new power to the forests and cities. Kian's bond with Nira deepened, and the people began to trust the unusual partnership between a human and their youngest princess. But peace on Vesper was fragile. One morning, as Kian reviewed energy readings in the science wing, Lyra hurried in with urgent news. "Kian, there is a disturbance near the northern border. The energy fluctuations are unusual strong and chaotic." Kian frowned. Could it be a natural event? A storm or a quake? Lyra shook her head. "It feels different. We have never seen energy like this here before." Nira entered, her face serious. "We must investigate. If this is a threat, it could endanger all of Vespra." Without delay, Kian, Nira, Lyra, and Torin gathered a small team to travel north. The journey was through dense forests and rolling hills, filled with strange plants and glowing insects. But as they neared the border, the air grew tense and the energy readings grew stronger. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, and a strange light flashed in the sky. The team stopped, watching as dark shapes moved swiftly through the trees. "It looks like machines," Kian said quietly, eyes wide. But these were not like the peaceful devices they had built. These machines were large, black, and aggressive, cutting through the forest with harsh lights and mechanical noise. Lyra gasped. "These are invaders. Machines from another world, dangerous and destructive." Nira's face hardened. "We must protect Vespra." Kian stepped forward. We can't fight like this. We need a plan. The group quickly retreated to a nearby hill to observe. The invading machines were harvesting energy crystals and destroying trees, disrupting the natural balance. Kian's heart ached. If they keep this up, they will destroy the core's connections and kill the planet. Nira nodded. We must warn the council and prepare defenses. Back in the city, the council held an emergency meeting. Leaders debated the threat and possible responses. Some feared a full-scale attack, while others hoped for a peaceful solution. Elder Morin spoke, "We face a choice, fight to protect our world or seek to understand these invaders." Kian stood beside Nira. "We should try both. We can prepare to defend, but also try to communicate." Nira agreed. "Our strength is in balance between power and peace." The council decided to send a small group, including Kian and Nira, to try to contact the invaders. They equipped themselves with protective gear and devices to send peaceful signals. The team traveled back to the border, moving carefully to avoid detection. Using advanced sensors, Kian located the invaders' command center, a massive, dark machine unlike anything on Vespra. They sent signals of peace and curiosity, hoping to make contact. After tense moments, a response came not in words, but in a mechanical pattern of sounds and lights. The invaders were curious but cautious. Kian translated the signals with the help of Lyra's knowledge of languages and codes. They learned that these machines belonged to a distant group called the Xyrax, explorers searching for energy sources after their own planet's power failed. "They do not want to destroy Vespra," Lyra said. "They want to survive." Nira's eyes softened. "Like us, they fight to live." Kian thought quickly. "If we help them find a way to share energy, maybe we can avoid conflict." The team proposed a plan: share knowledge, find new energy sources, and protect the planet together. The Xyrax responded with a signal that showed hope. Back in the city, Kian and Nira shared the news. The council was cautious but willing to try peace. Over the next weeks, Vesperans and Xyrax worked together, combining their technology and knowledge. They built new devices that could safely gather energy without harming the planet. The invaders' machines were transformed from tools of destruction into helpers. Kian felt proud. What began as a threat became a new friendship. One evening, as he and Nira watched the stars from the palace balcony, she said softly, "Your courage saved more than Vespra. You saved hope for all our futures." Kian smiled. "Together, we can face anything." The twin suns set behind the mountains, casting golden light over a world renewed by trust, courage, and friendship. The days following the arrival of the Xyrax visitors were filled with hope and hard work. Vespra's people, once anxious and fearful, began to see the possibility of a new future. Kian and Princess Nira stood at the center of this change, a symbol of unity between different worlds. The palace was alive with meetings, discussions, and celebrations. Scientists from both Vespra and Xyrax worked side by side, sharing ideas and tools. Together, they built machines that could draw energy without harming the planet or its core. These machines hummed quietly in the forests and mountains, glowing softly under the twin suns. Kian often found himself walking through the city with Nira. They spoke about the journey that had brought them here, how an arranged marriage had turned into a partnership of trust and hope. One afternoon, as they walked through a busy market filled with laughter and music, Nira turned to Kian. "Do you remember the first day you arrived? How uncertain everything was." Kian smiled. "It felt like a different world. Strange, yet full of wonder. I never imagined I would find a home here." Nira laughed softly. "And I never thought I would trust a human so much. But you proved me wrong." Their friendship had grown into something deeper, built on respect, courage, and shared dreams. The people of Vespra admired their bond, seeing it as a sign that peace was possible, even between very different beings. Meanwhile, the energy core continued to grow stronger. The crystals below the surface shone with renewed light, thanks to the combined efforts of the teams. The small machines helped spread energy to distant regions, protecting forests, rivers, and cities alike. One evening, the council held a great ceremony in the palace hall. Leaders from Vespera, the Xyrex visitors, and other nearby worlds gathered to celebrate the new alliance. Elder Morin spoke with a proud smile. Today, we mark the beginning of a future united. Through trust and cooperation, we have turned a threat into a friendship. This is the power of hope. Kian felt a quiet joy. Standing beside Nira, he realized how much they had changed the fate of their worlds. After the ceremony, Nira took Kian's hand. This is just the beginning. Together, we will face new challenges and build a future where all can thrive. Kian nodded. I believe in that future. With you, and with all of us working together, nothing is impossible. As the twin suns set, their light reflected on the palace walls and on the faces of those gathered. A new day was coming for Vespera, for the Xyrex, and for all who dreamed of peace. Kian looked at Nira, feeling hope stronger than ever. Their journey had started with a surprise, a duty forced by others. But it had grown into a story of courage, friendship, and the power to change worlds. And now, they were ready to write the next chapter together.